Hey guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. Today we're over on the test account and the patch is up, which means we're going to have access to check out the new Mauler skills and abilities. So let's go ahead and see what she is all about. Now we know it is Villanelle. Nella. I'm going to go with Villain. There we go. So it is the Shadow Scorpion. So you can see that is her tail. Now a lot of questions. Some players were saying it was the tail. Some players were saying it was a helmet. But that is her tail indeed. So you can see it right there, guys. Let's run through these skills and abilities and see exactly what she does because she is support. A lot of players were saying she was going to be a ranger. So she is a support and she is a debuffer. So that is going to be very interesting. So Villain Grace wields her folding fan, reducing the energy of all enemies by 100 for 2 times. Enemies whose energy is less than 250, each reduction will be petrified. So there is a crowd control aspect. While the skill is active, Villain gains an additional 35 points of insight. The first reduction also slices 75 off the energy of charmed enemies. So charmed enemies in here, again, thinking Mahira, going through kind of some of the crowd control, even the pet that charms, the fox that charms, that might make a big difference. Reduce the energy of all enemies 100 for 3 times. The first reduction initially reduces the energy of enemies charmed by Villain by 125. I'm wondering if that is going to be her charm only, and I think that is the extension. So she is going to have a charm as a support hero, which is pretty interesting. So the Alluring Charm, so she replenishes 100 energy from the top 2 damage dealing enemy heroes, rendering them unable to unleash their ultimate for 2 seconds and continuously draining their energy by a total of 300. So she is pulling a lot of energy out of there. They also fall under Villain's Charm for 10 seconds, during which damage and health loss inflicted are reduced by 45%. So damage and health loss dealt to Villain by charmed enemy is reduced by 60. That's a pretty big damage reduction. Enemies are unable to unleash their ultimate 2 seconds and have their energy reduced by 400. Then damage and health dealt lost by Villain by charmed enemies reduced by 8. So an 80% reduction of damage. That is kind of crazy with the charmed enemies. So the Sting Needle, which of course is her tail, she strikes one enemy, nullifying their armor and dealing damage for 200% of the attack rating. Any inflicted damage and destroyed shields are converted into a protective shield for her, lasting for 8 seconds, which is capable of absorbing damage up to at least 300% of her attack rating, up to 800%. So she's going to do damage, which nullifies their armor and deals damage. The damage dealt is increased to 230, and the protective shield to withstand at least 350%. Then damage dealt increased to 280, which of course, and then the protective shield goes to 400. And then this is the engraving, strikes up to 2 other charmed enemies. So now you're going to hit, 2 other? So it's going to hit 3 enemies in total. That seems pretty good. And then the Scorpion Venom. And of course, this is a passive ability. So Villain's skills and normal attacks inflict Scorpion Venom, reducing the target's attack rating by 40% for 8 seconds. During this time, for every 50 energy restored by enemies, their damage output decreases by 3% up to a maximum. She has a 30% essentially damage output reduction. Conversely, for every 50 energy point lost by enemies, the damage they take is increased by 4% up to a maximum of 40. So she has a 40% defense, or essentially a 40% damage amplification. That is huge. She is going to be a requirement for boss fights in her entirety. When Scorpion Venom is active, for every 50 energy restored by the enemies, the damage they deal is reduced by 4.5% up to 45%. Then for every 50 damage, it increased by 6 up to 60%. And then, of course, the 60 engraving. During the first 15 seconds of battle, when Villain inflicts Scorpion Venom, it reduces the enemy's attack rating by 60%. That is a massive, massive attack rating reduction right there. Wow, I'm surprised she is a support hero. But unfortunately for the Maulers, and yes, she is a Mauler, they don't make it a true support hero. They don't make it the shielding, the energy recovery. I still don't understand. So the Shadow Fan is the signature item. So each time enemies deal damage while under the influence of Scorpion Venom, they lose health for 35% of their inflicted damage after a brief delay, up to but not exceeding 400% of her attack rating every 2 seconds. And every time enemies are healed while under the scorpion venom, they lose health. So they're losing health when they are healed. Again, PvP, this is going to be huge. 35% of the health regeneration after a brief delay, up to not to exceed 400% of the attack rating every 2 seconds. Each time they deal damage under the influence of scorpion venom, they lose health. So everything's making them lose health, pretty much, that they do if they have the scorpion venom on there. 600% of the attack rating, then the 30. When charmed enemies grant healing or most buffs to the ally, the enemy allies will be inflicted with scorpion venom. So this is going to go on everyone. For each enemy ally enduring its effect 1 time per 4 seconds. Then, of course, the plus 40. Each time enemies deal damage under the influence of scorpion venom, they lose health for 55% of their inflicted damage after a brief delay, up to not exceeding 650% of her attack rating. So kind of crazy in there. So enhance the ability to drain the enemy's energy by 25%. Wow, that's a big energy reduction buff. At 3-second intervals, when charmed enemies inflict damage on villain allies, 50% of the damage will be converted after a short delay into a shield that protects villain for up to 3 of her initial attack rating. This is going to be pretty interesting, because looking at the ability to essentially poison everyone, yeah, let's see exactly what this looks like here, guys. Let's try her in the trials. I want to see. So there's the poison. You can see the bubbles, and all 3 of them are poisoned. There's the shield. Yeah, and she throws the poison. So she doesn't move. That's also a big thing to know. Let's try the ultimate. Boom. Petrified. Wow, so the poison does stay up for a majority of time, and boom. Yeah, look at the energy reduction. The awakened version of Shamira, Lady Simona, Ivan. This is going to be a very interesting hero with all of that energy reduction. This is going to be pretty broken. This is absolutely going to be pretty broken. So let's see who they put in here. There's Lady Simona we were just talking about. Let's put some tanks up front and see what we can kind of do with this hero. And again, as a support hero, I'm not too worried about the damage that she's putting out. I want to see kind of how this looks. There's the poison. Seems like energy's a little slow. Yeah, there's the attack reduction. This, of course, is going to go into round number 2. Yeah, so I mean, just the ticks of the poison. And she shields herself. So, I mean, defensive-wise, seems like she might be able to do pretty well. Does have a lot of mitigation in there. Yeah, as I mean, the energy reduction, the mitigation for pretty much all of the stats that the enemies have is kind of crazy. But all right, guys, so that is going to do it for the new Mauler hero. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, and as always, thank you guys for watching.